Hey guys, thought I'd give a little update on how things are going. So we've just finished our first week of the cash game sessions. Managed to get 3 in so far. They've been going pretty well. Really have got to keep my voice down this time though, because it is 6:30 a.m. Monday morning, the 23rd of November. General feelings, I'll go through them now. Overall, a little bit frustrated right now. Was up quite a bit more than I've now finished. I had kind of a bit of a blow up at the end, but at the same time I've then gone back and sort of analysed the hands. And one in particular I would say is really bad, and we'll get into that. Another one is actually, having looked at it again, I think my play is okay. If you were to pick 2 cards that really suited the bluff that I did, I think that they would be right up there. So again, we'll get onto that though. Yeah, so overall we're doing pretty well. We have played 3 sessions, as I said, and we're currently on $1,066.66, which is pretty good. I'm going to throw it up on the screen now so you guys can have a little look at how I'm deciding to track my sessions. You'll be able to see all of that now. So you can see in the top we have the amount of time I played for. So I've played for 11 hours total so far. My hourly rate is $5.92, so that's including rakeback, and the rakeback's actually been really good so far. I've been really quite happy with it. So one of the many big perks of playing on GG is they do have this leaderboard system, which I'm going to quickly throw up on the screen now so you guys can have a little look at that. So we're pretty much always getting into this leaderboard and getting $5 every single time we play, which is really good. I think that's mainly from just playing about 2 to 3 hours we always get in. Never going to be able to compete with the people that hit the top of the leaderboard, but who knows, maybe one day. The actual rakeback we got this from 3 sessions was $10. That's the rakeback, so we've had a considerable amount, to be fair, of actual rakeback, which is really good. What else is there to say? Other than remember to keep looking at the camera, Liam. Yeah, what else? I think the main thing that's trying to keep me going right now is to try and accept that we all make mistakes. Yeah, I've had a bit of a blow up there at the end of the session, but we're still up a considerable amount and we're doing really well. I'm going to quickly go through some of the biggest hands we've played as well. I'll throw those up on the screen now. Okay guys, so I can only apologise for the ramshackle looking way we're going to have to do this hand history, but unfortunately GG Poker doesn't really have much in the way of a hand recorder or replayer, so we'll have to just make do with this. I do apologise, it will get better as the videos go on. I'm sure we will look back on this fondly and laugh about it, but anyway, so this is the hand in particular where at the start I was a little bit unsure whether I may have had a little bit of a mistake. The action starts off with the cutoff coming in for a raise of 63 cents, so you are going to have to try and read through this screen, and I know it is a little bit not very user friendly, but we will get through it, trust me. So the cutoff raises to 63 cents. We're obviously playing 25 an L, basically all around $25 at this stage. The button folds and the small blind calls, who is a fish. I 3-bet to $3. The cutoff calls and the fish folds. The flop comes down at Jack, 7, 6 or hearts. We have the ace of hearts, so obviously the nut flush draw. I actually elect to check here, and the cutoff checks behind. On the turn card there is $6.65 out there, so basically just look at where it says the flop, where it says $6.65, and that's basically how big the pot will be when we're on the turn. I decide to bet $2.30 at this stage, and he goes for a 2-bet and raises me to $6.60. After a little bit of time, as you can see, I go into my time bank. I decide to call here because I actually work out my outs and realise that I have actually got a pretty good price to continue, so I do. And down comes the river, which is the 9 of clubs, and I didn't mention the turn was the 10 of clubs, but hopefully you could see it on the screen, my bad. And at this point I actually decided to shovel in, because my view of this hand was that
if he'd have had, a flush, do I really think he would have checked it behind? I'm not so sure. He would have wanted to protect his hand, because any other heart comes down, he'll be basically beaten, so he'd have wanted to extract some value. If he has a set, I can put him in a really rough spot. I'm definitely capable of having some 8s in my range. I can have pocket 8s, I can have ace-8 suited, I can have 8-9, I can have a lot of, basically I do have quite a few 8s that I can have in this scenario, so it's not beyond the realms of possibility that I do have that. I can also have king-queen, I can have king-queen suited, I can have king-queen off, that I've used as a squeeze, so these hands are very possible, and my hand is brilliant in all cases of this. At the start I wasn't so sure if I'd made the right play, but I have in fact, because not only do I block the nuts, and when you want to bluff with a hand you want to block the absolute best possible hands, and that right now is king queen, which I block, and it's the nut flush draw, which I also block. So in terms of, as I mentioned earlier, having the best possible hand for this scenario actually is this hand. Unfortunately, Splash Bros wasn't having any of it, and within like 2 seconds had snap called me. The only thing I would say about this hand is that in hindsight, the pot, if you look, it says on the turn is $19.85, which means that's what it is on the river, and when I shove $15.39, I'm kind of in a spot where I'm really hoping that these players are good enough to fold a set here, but as it turns out, the Smash Bros just never ever had the intention of folding his hand, so we miss out here, but you win some, you lose some. This wasn't the hand in particular that I think was a big problem. We'll get on to that now. So moving swiftly onwards, we get to another hand here. This hand was one that I am pretty embarrassed by. It was pretty shocking, and it happened maybe 2 or 3 hands on the exact same table after the one that you have just witnessed. So in this hand, there's a raise from under the gun to 70 cents, middle position calls, and I go for the 3-bet in the cutoff, and the button folds, the small blind folds, big blind folds, under the gun folds, and middle position calls. So pretty juicy already, and we get to a flop where it goes check by the fish, and I bet $2.30, and he raises me up to $6.12. After a small amount of time, I kind of felt like the fish had just seen me make that crazy hand. I don't know if you saw in the hand previously, he put like an oh my god when he'd just seen the way I just played, so I kind of felt like maybe if I call here I can look to outplay him. Honestly, this is just one of the worst hands I've played for the entire time, and I've played over 5,000 hands now, the 25 are now, which isn't a huge amount, but I expect better of myself than this. I am obviously just showing you this because it's one of my worst hands. Anyway, so we called, and the turn came down, and this guy puts like the sorry emoji, and I was just sort of like, what is going on here? And he shoved all in, and I tried my best to actually work out what my outs were, and I kind of felt that I could hit an ace or a queen here and still win. I genuinely felt that this guy just didn't have a lot of anything. If anything, I put him more onto like 8s or 9s, and just the jack he was sort of just panicking on. He could easily have 8s, 9s, 10s, and I thought I had my hearts and I could hit my ace and my queen as well, but as it turned out, we clicked call, and he had actually had the 6, 7 of diamonds, which kind of made this a horrendous call. I offered to run it the once, and we slowly squeezed that river card out, and it was red, which was hopeful for us, but unfortunately it was not of the heart variety. So that was a big chunk to lose, which I kind of felt like a bit of a dumbass after that, and it was basically a case of I went, okay, that's the end of my session, I'm just way too tired to continue. There is some other hands I'd like to share, but this video is starting to get really long, so it might be a case of I have to do these hand reviews in separate videos, which I don't have a problem with. But anyway, back to it.
I think it's important that we also cover the bankroll management that I've also got in place. If you have a quick look on the screen now, you will see how we're going to be managing our challenge, or whatever we want to call it, the journey, whatever I've decided on. this week. Yeah, you'll see how we just sort of go up the steps. Basically, the second you've got 30 buy-ins for a particular level, you go up to that level. So we're obviously currently playing 25 NL. We've, as I've just said, got $1,060 in the account at the moment. So in order to play this level at the beginning, you would have needed 750 under the way we're doing it. So it keeps you excited, it keeps you engaged, because obviously it's quite aggressive, this style of management, but I'm quite happy to do it. It shouldn't emotionally affect me too much, and it will keep me excited because I know that I won't be just grinding and grinding and grinding forever at a particular level, and it gives me a chance to sort of accelerate as opposed to being stuck playing really low stakes where I don't want to be. So hopefully we can get to $1,500 in not too long amount of time. Based on our hourly, we can sort of gauge what we think is going to be reasonable as to how many sessions it's going to take us. I don't think it will take too many, because there's definitely room for me to improve at the moment, and I'm already showing 5 big blinds per 100, which is really impressive for just coming back to the game. Obviously I only had 5 or 6 weeks off, but actually playing cash games, I don't really specialise in them. We're just starting to learn them now. So what will happen is we'll get to 1,500 and we'll take our shot of 50 NL, which obviously to me is quite high stakes. It's probably some of the biggest I've played for many years online. And then it's a case of you just have 5 bullets. So if you lose $250 at that stake level, which could happen even just with variance, you may not even play poorly, you then have to drop back down, which would sort of suck because it would take quite a while to make, as I just said, it would take a little bit of time to then recuperate that 250 at 25 NL, because it's obviously much more difficult at a lower level to make that amount of money, whereas making 250 at 50 NL is only 5 buy-ins, so you can make that a lot quicker. But these are the best ways to climb. You basically get a taste for it as you climb the higher level, and if you are not successful, you drop it down, and it's basically a case of you keep bouncing up and down that ladder that you can see, and eventually you cement yourself in those new stake levels, because basically the regulars get better, so it becomes a lot harder. They're going to put you in a lot tougher spots, but every single time you drop back down to the lower level, you start to feel and notice even more things that don't happen at that stake level, so then you can sort of implement them and you can sort of learn from it as you go. But yeah, overall I'm pretty happy with how things have gone in this opening week. I've only managed to play 3 sessions. Obviously I do have a full-time job, but yeah, really happy. Not really much to complain about. Variance wise, I'd say that it's coming and going. I'd say you can sort of see some of the comments I write after each session. They're not very well organised, but you get a vague idea of how I sort of respond to things. Sort of like, I was running quite good here, I'm also running good there. I sort of try and keep a lid on things and just be like, come on, there's swings and roundabouts, these things are going to happen. But yeah, I wouldn't say I've had any bad stretches yet. I wouldn't say I've had times where I'm getting it in and just losing constantly, which can happen when you're playing poker, obviously. But there's also the flip side where you can just keep running like a god. So yeah, we will keep grinding, keep learning, and we'll do some analysis on some of those hands. Cheers.